Hello all, my name is Arun, Senior iOS Engineer. So in this session, we will be seeing about building an iOS application using Swift language. So before starting that, there are few prerequisites. So I just go to that. So these are the prerequisites. First, you need a MacBook. So without MacBook, you can't definitely develop an iOS application. So what are the three procedures to grab the MacBook? One is like buy a new MacBook or borrow it from friends or just steal it from friends. Yeah, just kidding. So definitely MacBook is required. And second thing is like Xcode. So it is the IDE used to build Apple application, whether it's iOS application or Mac application or Apple Watch application. So Xcode IDE is a must. That is the only tool required to build an iOS application. And third thing is like you need a Apple developer account. So in order to publish the developed app in App Store, you need this account. So these accounts are two types. One is like personal account. So you can have a personal account. It will be like charged $199 per year. So you can publish the apps. Another one is like enterprise account. So your enterprise, like if you are working for any company, so they definitely will have a enterprise account. Using that account, you can upload the developed app in the App Store so that it will be visible to the users. And the next thing, so today we'll be building an iOS application. So I will be covering only the basics. So first thing is like building a basic UI. So you will have like, if you take a login screen, you can see like text fields, login button and everything. And second thing is like connect the UI to the code. So you should be working, right? So once you create the UI, you should be linking it with the code so that the application will be active. And the third thing is like working with the view controllers. So in the here view controller refers to the screen. So if you're in the Instagram, first you will see like login screen. So that is considered as login view controller. And after that, you will be seeing the feeds screen. So that is considered as view controller in programming language. And the fourth thing is like table view. So it's the table view is nothing but it will have a number of rows. So you can add any content to it. For example, in the Facebook, you will be seeing different posts, right? So each post is considered as one row. So we will be loading all the contents in that particular table view. And finally, defining a data model and API integration. So the data model is the vast topic. So I will be just covering the basics in order to develop one simple application using one free API. Yep. Without wasting your time, I will just quickly jump into the Xcode IDE. So I will be creating a new project. So my screen is visible, right? So if it is visible, just raise a hand so that I will know. Okay, I assume screen is visible. Okay.
Visible.
Okay.
Visible.
Okay, I'm clicking on file and coming to the new, and I will click on a new project. So if you can see like there are different creation. One is like playground. So this you can use it for practicing any logics or for loop, if loop, anything. So now I will create a new project. I'm clicking on that. So you can see this is the first screen you will see when you click on project. So there are different kinds of application which Apple provides, like single view application, which has master detail view application as well. So the left side, you will be seeing the list and the detail will be seeing on the right side. So this is like a starter kit, and you can also use this to develop different frameworks, which you can use it in your application later part. And you can also build WatchOS application, Apple TV applications and Mac application using this IDE. So currently I will develop only the iOS application, which is a single view application I selected. Now I'm clicking on next button. Yep. So you can give a project name. So I will just name it like my iOS application. And the team, if you are working in any organization, so initially I said like Apple developer account, you can use that account. And the organization I'm specifying like my name and the identifier, this will be unique. So for each organization, the application name will be unique. It will be like com.arun.myios application. So this should be unique in order to post it in the App Store. So this is a required feature. In order to make the update to the existing application, you use only this bundle identifier. And the language I am currently using is like Swift. There is one more language, Objective-C, but this one is outdated, so no one will be using this Objective-C. So in 2014, Swift was introduced, and from then we are using only Swift for iOS application development. And the next thing is like user interface. So we have like Swift UI and Storyboard. So Swift UI is the recent one, so they launched it this year. So I will be working only on Storyboard in this session. So I just selected a Storyboard application. And next is like core data. So this is like a database in the mobile. So if you want, you can select this and use the application. And next one is like including unit test and UA test. So for this application, I am not going to touch any of this. I'm just going to the simple application. I'll click on next. Yep. And you need to specify the path. I'm specifying is at desktop. So I'll just click on create. I don't need any Git repository. If you want, you can check this option. I'm just clicking on create. Yeah, your first application is ready. So in this section, you can see the targets my iOS application. So in this, you can see the display name you created while creating the project, and the bundle identifier will be there. And this is the first version, so we are using it as 1.0. And this will be build 1. If you are making any future updates, it will be like 2.0, 2.1, 2.2. You can use it any version numbers. And the next is like iOS deployment info. So which are the OS version you need to support? So that we can set it here. I will set it from iOS 13.0. And the devices, you can build a same application for both iPhone and iPad. And now I will be creating only for iPhone. So I will uncheck the iPad option. And the next thing is like device orientation. You can rotate your device and then you can support your application for landscape also. But currently I will be doing only for portrait. So I will select only the portrait option. And rest of the things you don't need to worry about for the basics. So next I will move on to the signing. So this is one you need to select your team and you can specify the certificates. So it is a tedious job. So we can cover it later. And the next thing is like you can, the left side, you can see the project structure. So this will be the project name and this will be the default one. It will be created, app delegate, scene delegate. It will be available in all the applications you work on. But you don't need to worry about for the basic application. And the second thing is like it will come up with the view controller. So we don't need this. I will delete this and I will create a new one. I'm just moving it to trash. And this will be the storyboard. If you remember, while creating a project, we decided to go with a storyboard implementation. In this, you will be seeing multiple screens. So we can first, this will be the launch screen. So you can see left arrow. So this means that this is the initial view. Whenever you open the application, this screen will be visible first. And this is called a view controller. So in simple terms, it will be called a screen, but in iOS technology, it is called as view controller. So what I will do is I will just create a class for this view controller. I will right click and I will click on new file. I will just select Cocoa Touch class and then I will click on next. Okay, so then here you can give your class name. So I will be creating a login view controller first. So I will be creating a login view controller and the subclass will be like UI view controller. So this UI view controller is Apple's framework. So it will give all the required components, predefined components. So we just need to do basic coding. So I will create a login view controller class, subclass of UI view controller. The language is Swift. I'm clicking on next and I'm clicking on the location as well. Yep. So our class is created. You can see it will come up with the view did load. So this is the entry of the application. Whichever screen you open, this will be loaded first. View did load. I can remove the commenter lines. We don't need this. And then I will be going into the storyboard. and I will map this view controller to the login view controller. We created the class file, right? I'm clicking on the class file. So here I'm linking the login view controller Swift file here. So I just start typing log, so it's visible. So I just click on create. Now the login view controller screen is linked to this class file. Now what I will do is, you can see in the plus button here, right? So if you click on that, it is a default library. So we get labels, buttons, text fields, and many options are here. So it is a predefined component. So you can use anything and you can make a screen. So for us, I will be using a label. So I just drag and drop it to our screen. Yep, so it's ready. So now what I will do is I will set constraints, because we develop only one application, but it should support different screens like iPhone XR, iPhone 8, iPhone 6s, iPhone Special Edition, everything. So for that, what we need to do is we need to set a constraint. So it's like just click on the bottom. You can see the constraint option. I'm just clicking on the bottom screen, and you can give the size. So from top, it should be at 0th position, and from left, it should be like, you can set it at from margin, it should be 20 apart, and also the trailing side, the right side. I'm setting the same thing, and for the height, I will be setting it like just 30 pixel height, and I will just give on add constraints. Yep. So now the constraints are set. Now if I try to change the iPhone device, now I'm in iPhone 11. Let's see how it looks in iPhone SE, like it will be 6s. So I'm just selecting that device. You can see the spacing will be remain the same, 20, and the top it will be 0. If you change to any device like iPhone 8, it will retain the positions. So you just need to code it once, so it will support all the iPhone versions available. And now I will be setting it to the label text. You can format it like it will display at the center, and you can also provide the text. I'll be giving the text like my iOS application. Yep. So you can see the text, my iOS application. So now I will try to run this application. So you can select which device you want to run it in here. So I am selecting iPhone 11, and I click on run. The project is building. Yep, you can see like my iOS application. So it is visible in the screen. So now what I will do is I will set different colors. If you can see the background, so you can click on that background tile, and then you just select the any recent colors. These are the predefined colors. You can also customize your own color. So you can give if you know the RGB value or hex color, so you can just provide that thing. So it will be applied to the background thing. So now I will just select default color. So you can see my iOS application with the background color. So I will just stop the application and I will run it again. Yep, you can see the color is applied. And now what I will do is I will add a text field. So to get the username and password, I'll just type text. You can see like text field and text view. So I will use a text field. So I'll just drag and drop here. Yep, it's done. So the same thing we need to do again. So I will be setting up the constraints. So this is from the top. So from top label, it should be 28 pixels down. So I'll just give 30. And you can also set the left and right margins. So I'll set it as 50 from the margin, and from the trailing end also 50. And I will be setting the height to the default 34. And I just click on add constraints. So I can see the text field is displayed with the set constraints. I will add another text field to get the password. I'll just drag and drop, and I will set the constraints again. So from username, it should be like 30 pixels down, and from the left it should be 50, and to the right it should be 50 from the margin. I will set the same height as 34. Yep, it's done. And now I will give the placeholder value. So when you start typing, this placeholder will be hidden. So you can see the placeholder option. So I will be just typing enter username. Yep. And I will be giving the same for the password field, like enter password. Yep. So I'll just stop the application and I will just run it. So you'll be seeing enter username, enter password. So you can just, the keyboard will be up here and you can just start typing the text, and the password also you can start typing. But for the password field, it should be secure, right? So we should be providing some dot or star, anything. So for that, it will be simple. So go to the password, select the password text field right here and scroll through it, just enable secure text entry. So now I will stop the application and I will run it. So now you can see like the password field are with dotted ones. So I will start typing username, it is visible A, and I type password. So you can see like it will be commented out. So it will be like dot dot dot. So you don't see the password field. And the next thing, what I will do is I will add a button. So when you click on that button, you will be calling the login service. So I'll just add the button here, and I will name the button as like replace the text to login, LOGIN. Yep. So for this thing, we set the constraints differently. We won't be setting the left margin, right margin. So for that, instead what we do is we just set the top position from the password field. It should be 34 pixels down, and I will be setting up the height as well. It will be 30, and I will set the width. So it will be like, I will set it up as 70, and I will click on add constraints. So now you can see that it will be like in red. So that means it is an error. So it definitely need an X position. So for that, what we can do is we can select the first align option, and I will set only the horizontally in the container, so that it will take the center position. Whichever screen you go, the login button will be placed center. And I will give the background color for this. I'll just go to the background option. I'll just click on it and I'll just give some random color, or like light gray color. Yep. And I will change the text color as well. So now it's blue, right? So I will change it to white or black. You can see all the colors here. So I'll just click on white. Yep. So this is done. So I'll just run the application. Yep. Now you can see like your label, my iOS application, and two text fields to get the username, password, and the login button. When you tap on this, it will process the username typed in and then allow to login. So now the second part I shared in the slide is like creating the UI and then linking it to the code we created. So for this, I will just click on this plus icon so that we get two screens. Yep. I clicked on the plus icon, so you can see two different screens. Here I will be selecting the login view controller, and on the next screen I will be selecting the UI we just created. Yep. Now you can see the UI is created here. Now what we'll do is like we need to link this UI views to the our code part. So first I will click on the label. So on the right click, you see these options. So the referencing outlet. So you just click on this plus icon, you just drag it and drop it to the view controller class. And I will just name it like welcome label. So the naming convention, the best naming convention should be in a camel case. So W starts with small case, and after that any words, it should start with a capital case. And just clicking on connect. So you can see like it is a outlet for the welcome label. Similar thing you need to create for text fields as well. So you can see like new referencing outlet. I just drag and drop it here. You just type username text FIELD. Yep, the text field is created, and after that there will be a password field. Same thing you need to do. You can track it from here also. You can drag it from here as well. So I'm just clicking on new referencing outlet. Yep, just drop it here. Password, text field. Yep, it's done. And for the button, you need to do two different things. One is like create a referencing outlet. I'm just creating an outlet. Login button. And the next thing what you need to do is when the user tap on this button, so you need to trigger the action, right? For that, what we do is we have different sent events. In this, we see like touch up inside. When the user touches the button, you get a trigger, and this method will be called. So I'll just name it like dip tap login button. So whenever the user taps on the login button, so this method will be triggered. We can print the option like login button click. So this will print the values in the console. So now what we do is we reference all the UI elements we created. Now I will just run the application. Just click on this play icon. It will build it for you. Yep, the application is ready. I'll just tap on login button. Yep, now you can see in the console login button click. It means like it came into this particular method, dip tap login button, and it printed this statement we printed login button click. The next thing what we can do is like we can access the text field values. What are the values typed here? For that, it will be same. I'll just type print like username, and I will get the from the login username text field. So you just type username, it will pre-populate the text field, and just click on it and dot text. Similar thing you can do it for the password field as well. Password, and getting the password text field dot text. So I will just stop the application and I will run it again. Yep, now I will click on login button. So you can see like empty text. We haven't typed anything, right? So it will be empty. Now I will be typing username like my name and password, just a random text. Now I'm clicking on a login button. Yeah, you can see like in the username text field we got Arun, and the password like that random text. So this way you can access the text field values. What I'll do is I will just delete all these values, and this is the default method, view did load. So whenever the application you open the screen, so this method will be triggered first. This is the default method. So for updating any US, like what I will do is I will update the login button. Like I will add the corner radius. Now you can see like it is like a rectangle with no corner, no round shape, right? So I will just provide the corner radius. For that, I will give login button dot layer dot corner radius. You just give some random float value, like I'm just giving 6, and I will stop the application and I will run it again. So you can see like there will be a rounded corners in the login button. You can see like it will be like a rounded edge. So those things can be made in the view did load. Whenever the app is visible, so we can make the changes. And similar thing, you can see like my iOS application, right? I will try to change the text in the coding as well. So I'll just type welcome label dot text. I will be adding a new text. Welcome to my iOS application. So you will not be able to see my iOS application. It is replaced with welcome to my iOS application. Whenever the application is launched, this text will be set to that label. I'll just stop and run the application again so that we can see. Yep, you can see like welcome to my application. Whatever code you typed here, it will be visible here. And the similar thing, what you can do is like on tapping on login button, you can alert the user if it is empty. You can check like just use a if condition, if username text field dot text dot text dot is empty. So this is the important factor in Swift language. It is like optional field, so it can be empty. For that, what we will be doing is like we will be getting it in a let. So we just use if let username text field dot text. You can get it here, username text field dot text. If username has the value, it will be entering into this loop. Right, you can do like print username as value. In else part, you can do like print username is empty. You can also print the username here. Username. So it is a string. So in Swift, it is like type safe. So you don't need to specify the value variable, like it is a string, it is an integer, it is a float, it is a dictionary. So based on the result, it will automatically make the variable as the type. Now what I am doing is I'm just printing the username if it is not empty. So I just run the application. Yep, it is ready. I'm just typing the username and I'm clicking on login. So you can see like username has value and it is Arun. So I'm just remove the values type. Now I click on it. So you can see like user has value, but it is empty. So in this case also, you don't need to allow the user to log in. So in this case, what you can check is another validation like username. It is a string. So you can check for empty. Is empty. So if it now it will won't go inside this if loop. So I'll just run the application. So it will go into username is empty. So in the if, we have two conditions. First, we are checking whether the username variable is there or not, and then we are checking it for empty. Now I click on login. So it will go like, okay, username is empty. It should not be empty. When it's not empty, it will come here. When it is empty, it will go to here. I'll run the application again. I'll just added a exclamation. So in this case, if it is false, it will go here. So now I click on login. Yep, you can see like user is empty. Only when the username is not empty, it will go here. We'll allow the user to go to the next screen. Similar thing, we will be doing it for password field as well. If let password equal to password text field dot text. Similarly, you will be checking the password also is empty. Yep, if the password field is not empty, we'll allow the user to go to the next screen. We create a separate function. Function navigate to user list screen. So when if the username and password exist, we will be calling this method and we will be showing the different screen. So inside this, I will just call navigate to user list screen. So you can do a print statement. So this is only for debugging purpose. So once you're done, you can remove all the print statements. So the print, I will be adding like navigate to user list screen. Else, you can use else or you can use a return. If you use return, it will immediately exit from the loop. It won't execute the statements after the success. So I will add it here like password is empty. Instead, you can also show the alert as well. So it will be displayed. So what we'll do is I will just run the application. Yep. Now if I click on this, it will be first throwing the error username is empty. Now I will type the username. Now I click on it. Now it will type password is empty. I will type the password as well. It will be just a random text. And if I click on login, you can see like navigate to user list screen. So this method is clicked. So we are ready to move on to the next screen. So this is the basic login screen. When you do a professional application, you can like you can do different kind of validation. Whether the username should have like only email IDs, you can do different conditions and you can validate this, and same as the password field as well. And after clicking on login, you can have a API call and you can make the validation as well. So for this basic application, we just built it using the text fields and the login buttons, and we are good with the first screen. Now what I will do is I will create the next screen. So that is called a table view. So I will move on to the storyboard again. It will be like main.storyboard. what I will do is I will click on this plus icon. I will add a different components. First I will do is I will add a navigation controller. Yep, I added a navigation controller. So I will just delete this. So we don't be using view controller. We will be using a table view controller. So what I will do is I will delete this. We just have a navigation controller. So this one will have at the top bar. So we can add like buttons in the Instagram. You can see like there will be a profile icon here. This is the basic iOS design. So it will be called as navigation controller. And next I will be adding a table view controller. You can see like table view cell, table view controller. So in this I just need another view controller. So it is called a screen. So I'll just drag and drop it here. So it will be our second screen. So what I will do is for each navigation controller, there will be a root view controller. So what I will do is I will right click on this and drag it to here. I will select the option like root view controller. So this navigation controller will be loaded with this table view controller. So the similar thing, what we need to do is we just create another class file. I will just click on new Cocoa Touch class and clicking on next. It will prompt the same dialog. So what I will do is like name it differently. User list. It's a table view controller, right? So I will just name it table view controller, and the subclass will be table view controller. So for login screen, we created a UI view controller. So this one we will be using a table view controller. So based on the requirement, before designing the screen, you can select this option. Similar thing, we have like collection view controller. So it will be like grids. So different. So basic will be the table view controller. So I will be creating a subclass of your table view controller. Just click on next. Add the path. It will be created here, right here. So you can see like Apple will give you like various options. So you just remove it. So for the basic coding, we don't need any of these methods. I will just remove the commented codes. And the view did load. So this is default. So it will be loaded whenever you create a class file. And this is a data source. So in table view, there are two things. One is data source and another one is delegate. So the data source is like when you are loading a row, it needs some data, right? So if you set it as 5, there will be 5 rows. If you set it as 10, so it will be 10 rows displayed in the screen. So for that, we need a data source. And also for loading the data like username, if in the Instagram, it will be loading like photos, username, and like how many likes are there, how many comments are there. So everything will be handled in the data source. And we don't need a number of sections as well, because by default, it will be the number of sections will be 1. So we just remove this method as well. We just need only the number of rows in the section. So we'll come to this part later. We just move on to the storyboard again. Yep, now I'm moving to the storyboard. The similar thing we need to do, select the table view controller and click on the show identity inspector. So you just need to set the class name again. So in this, you created a user list table view controller, right? So you just start typing user. So there will be a pre-populated value. You just click on it. So this will be linked to the class file. And again, you need to do the same thing, linking the UI to the class file. In this case, you need another attribute as well. So just copy the class name. It will be like storyboard ID. So I'll just paste the username view controller here and I'll just click on it, use storyboard ID. So this is needed when you click on login button. So it should be navigated to the next screen, right? So we have like multiple view controllers. So each view controller will have a unique identifier. So that is this. So we will be using this in navigating to the login screen to the user list view controller. So we can see how we can achieve this. I'm going back to the login view controller again. We have a method when username and text fields are valid. We will be calling a navigate to user list screen. So here I will be using that storyboard ID and moving on to the table view controller. That is our user list view. For this, what I will do is like there are two options to handle the optionals. One is if, another one is like God. So this is a Swift specific. I will use God. Let let's call it as a user view controller, and I'm instantiating that user list view controller. For that, we just type storyboard dot instantiate. You have different methods, so I will be selecting the instantiate view controller with identifier name. So I just tap on it. I'll just paste the ID we created just now. So it will be like user list view controller, and you will be providing else. So if the storyboard is not available, it will fall through here, and it will just return the statement. So like we can add a text like user list view controller is empty, so that the app will not crash. If the user view controller is not available, it will remain in the login screen itself. And the next thing what we'll be doing is like we need to present a user view controller. So for that, there is a method you can use like present. You need to specify this user view controller. Just type user view controller, and if you want to show some animation like moving screen, so you can just click on true. It will load with default animation. And completion handler, it is a we don't need to look into that basics. We just provide it as nil, empty. We don't be handling any completion part. And the next thing what I will be doing is like you can select a presentation style. You can select user view controller dot. You can just type model transition style, presentation style. So I'll be selecting only the presentation style. I'll be just setting a value. You click on dot, there will be like options, or you can select automatic. So the Apple will Apple will decide what style should be displayed. And in this screen form sheet, and if you specify none, it will be default one like over context, over full screen. So now what I will be doing is like I want to display the user list in a full screen. So I will just select dot full screen, and then I will be presenting this view controller. And now I will come back to the user table view controller. So you can see like it will be 0. So you won't be seeing any table views. So I will just stop it, and I will just run it so that you can relate to it. Yep. So now I click on it. Username is empty. So we need a username and password in order to proceed to the user list screen. So I'm clicking on login button. So you can see like this is a table view. So it is loaded with an empty view. So what we will do is like I will be setting the number of rows and sections. And one thing I did a mistake is like it didn't come with a navigation view controller. So what I will do is like I will go to this user table view, and I will delete this storyboard ID, and I will provide this storyboard ID to the navigation controller. Yep, and I will click on yes. Now you can see like there is no top bar, right? Now if I stop and run the application, you will be seeing the top bar. I'll just provide some random text. I'm clicking on login. So now you can see like there is a top navigation bar, and the table view will be loaded under that. So that is the purpose of navigation bar. Now you can add a buttons here like back button or done button based on the requirement. So now what I will do is I will just add the back button. So we need to come back to the login screen, right? So currently we can't come back to the login screen. So for that, what I will do is like navigation item, I will be adding a button. It will be like, it won't be a normal button. So initially we added a button. So this will be like navigation button. So what I will do is like navigation item. So I will be just drag and drop here. Just give me a second. Bar item. It will be like bar button item. So I will be just drag and drop here. Yep. You can see like I dropped it the wrong position. So I will just drop it under the navigation item. You can see like left bar button item, right bar button item. So we just need only the left bar to return to the login screen. So I will click on it. I will change the name to back. And similar thing, we need to give the action, button action. So what I will do is like I will split the screen. One screen I will be selecting the class file, and next I will be selecting the view controller. So I just right click on it. I will just click on send action. I will just drag and drop here. You just type dismiss user view controller. Yep, the action is ready. I'll just close the view. In this, what we can do is like just dismiss view controller. If you want animation, you can specify the animation, and we are not going to handle any completion part. So just click on nil. So now I will stop and I will run the application again. You can see like I will just provide the random text. Click on login. You can see like back button. So you click on back, it will come to the login screen. Yep, we are back to the login screen. So now you can see that username and password fields are retained. You need to clear this, right? Whenever you enter the login screen, you need to clear this off. So for that, what I can do is like, I will come back to the login screen, and you can see like there is a view did load. So there will be a similar method. I will just create override function. I'll just type view will appear. So this will be called whenever we load the login screen. View will appear. We are putting the super keyword because we are accessing the view controller functionality. So whenever we access this method, we will be doing the override because we are overriding the existing methods. Like these things are the default methods from UI view controller, inherited from UI view controller. So this one method doesn't need a override because this is our method, user defined method. So we don't need a override keyword here. So now what I will do is like I will just empty the username and password text. Username dot text is equal to just provide an empty string. Similarly for the password text field, I will just provide it empty. So now I will run the application. I'll just add a random text. Yep, click on login. Now I click on back button. Yep, we are entering to the login screen. Now you can see like the enter text are clear. So this is the difference between view did load and view will appear. So most of the UI related things should be updated in view did load. So like welcome label and the text, it will be loaded only one time when you launch the screen. But view will appear will be loaded every time you come to the login screen. And the next thing I will quickly do is like I will set some row values. Like I will set 10. So it should return 10 rows. Now what I will do is like we need some data to display in the row, right? For that there is a default function. I will just type function cell for row at index. So this is the default one for table view controller. We are just overriding that function. So what I will do is like first I will be checking whether the particular row is empty or not. For that I will use the same strategy. I will use got let cell dequeue table view dot dequeue reusable cell with identifier. We just provide the name of the cell, user cell. If it is not empty, you will be setting the values, and if it is empty, you just return the default cell. So in this thing, you can see why we are using dequeue reusable cell, because the table view only the I'll just return the cell. Yeah. If the table view has 100 rows, we won't be loading 100 rows because it will increase the memory. So what we will be doing is like only the visible rows will be created. For example, in this screen, if 10 rows are visible, we'll just load only the 10 screens. And if we move to the 11th row, what we'll do is the first row will be hidden. So we will be reusing the first row and applying it to the 11th row. So that is it will be we don't need to do any extra things. We just need to do dequeue reusable cell. So it will reuse the cell. So first cell will be loaded at the 11th cell. So only you need to do is like update the data. So for that, we are using the DQ reusable concept. And next is like identifier. So you are telling which cell you need to load in this particular cell. So I will just copy this name and I will go to the storyboard again. And I will just select the table view, and you can see like table view cell. So I will be adding the copy name. You can see like identifier. So I'll just use user cell. So this cell will be loaded in the user list table view controller. So I just used the default label, text label dot text. I will be giving the text row display. You can just get the row number. You can use index path dot row. So it will give the which row is currently loaded. So we can see. So I will just stop the application. I will just run it. Yep. I will just enter some random text, username, password. Click on login. Yep. Now you can see like we have specified 10 rows. So it's starting from 0th index. We are displaying 10 rows, and the text row displayed, and it 0, 1, 2, 3. It will keep on loading. So this is the basic table view. In this, I will be showing how to access the API and load the data in this particular table view. I'll just stop the application. I have API, so that is the free API. So we can use and get the data. So this is the API JSON placeholder. So we will get this JSON response, and now we can see how I'm converting this JSON response into the model and displaying it in the table view. You can like displaying only the name. I won't be using any of the items, so I'll just concentrate on name. Okay, I'm just coming in. I'll just declare a variable user list URL string. It is a string. So I just copy this. I just paste this. It will be like URL list URL user list URL string. So how we can call the API? So I will write a function to get the user list, get users. So for this, we need an active internet connection. So I will be converting that URL string to URL. So I'll just type got let. Let's type URL. I just type URL. This is the basic method. I want to convert string to URL, HTTPS URL. So I just provide the user list URL string. Yep, now it's converted. If this is not empty, we'll call the API. For that, we need a different service class. So that I will be starting a task. In this, these are all the default functions provided by the Apple. You just need to access that. URL session, and then share dot. I'll be handling a data task with URL. So we have the URL ready, right? So I'll just provide that URL and the completion handler. So in this, we will be getting 3 objects. One is like data, the JSON data, and next one is the response, whether it is success or failure. It will be like status code like 200, mostly 200 we will be using it for success. And if internal server error or any error, the status code will be different. For that, we'll get it from the response object. And next one is like error object. Just type it error. So it will return all the objects. So what we do is first, in the first place, we'll just check for the error, if there is any error or not. So I'll just type if let error equal to, I will be using the error object here. So if the value is there, you just print or alert the user like API call failed. So you should know what the error is like. So you can get it from error dot localized description. So this will give in the detail. So what happened, why the API call is failed. So that details can be added here. And if there is no error, so your API call is success. So next what we'll do is like we'll access the data. First we need to check whether the data is present or not. For that you can use godlet. You can just use the data object we added and just type else. If it is empty, you just return it. So just print the statement. You can use the alert also. So you can alert the user like this is what happened. I will just add like invalid data from the API. And the next thing, everything is good. There is no error. There is the data is present. Now what we do is like we need to convert that data, right? So before that we need a model object. So I will be creating another class. So this is a professional topic. So for the basic, I'll just create a model class so that in later sessions I will go in detail. So I'll just create a Swift file. I'll be creating a user model. I'm clicking on create new. Yep, the model is ready. So what I will do is like I will create a structure. So the difference between class and structure is structure have the data. It's like data type. So class is like reference type. So I'll just create a class named user, and what I will have it here is like I'll just have only the name. So I won't be using any of the details. Like we have like just for our reference, we can just copy and comment it out. So these are the JSON response. So I will be using only the name object. So what I will do is like I will create a name. I'll make it as a string. I'll make it as a string. And the next thing what I will do is like I will subclass it as codable. So this is used to encode and decode the JSON value. So in the API, we definitely get a JSON response only. So we need to convert that JSON response to the model object so that the application will able to process and display it in the screen. So that I'm using a codable. This is the default framework. So what I will do is like now we get the data. It's not empty. We know that, and I will be converting that data to the model object, user model object. So what I will do is do try catch. So this is also a error handling. So if the success, we will be doing it in the do section. So if it is a failure, we can catch and display it in the catch section. So first I will create a do loop. So in this, I will be getting a user model. I will create a variable with user model, and I will just give a try JSON decoder. So this is used to convert the JSON response into the model object. I'll just type on decode, and then I will be referencing that codable user model we created. It is a array of user list. So I'll just provide user, and there will be a dot. I'll be using the self. So I'll be using the default object, and then the data from which you need to convert. So we already have data. It's not empty. So we'll just pass that data. Okay, now the user model is ready. So now what you will do is like we need to display it in the screen, right? So I will create a variable. So variable means you can override the variable. So if it is let, you can't override this user list URL string. So it is like a constant. Now I will be using a variable. It will be a user. What I will be doing is like if it is a square bracket, it is referred to as array of objects. So we have a user model, right? So I will just use it user. In this, I am just initializing. So this bracket means it's an initializer. So we have a user object. So what I will do is like self dot user. I will be assigning this user model to the user we created. So it's just like user model. So it will be assigned to the user. And what I will do is like we need to catch the error, right? If anything while converting, if any error happens, we need to catch that as well. So that for that we create a catch statement, parsing error. Similarly, we can print parsing error, and I will get a detailed description, like localized description will give what went wrong, and you just click on return, so it will exit the loop. Similar thing we need to do it here as well, return. And before that, we got the user, but we need to load it in the table view, right? For that, what we need to do is like we just reload the table data, self dot table view dot reloading a data. So this thing will reload the table. And one more thing we need to consider is like any UI updates should be done only in the main thread. There are two different types of thread. One is like background and one is the main thread. So this API calls will be go in the background by default. So but displaying the table view, it should be going in the main thread. So for that, dispatch queue dot main dot asynchronous. So I'll just move this reloading part, that is updating UI related thing. So it should be in the main thread. So I will add it in the main queue. So now the table view will be loaded whenever there is a user data. Before that, we created a task. So we need to start this task, right? So for that, what we can do is like task dot start resume. Giving task.resume will start this task. So what we can do is like we need to call this method, right? Whenever user enters the screen, we call this get users method. So I just type get users, so it will be triggered. So this method will be triggered and it will get the API, it will load the data in the user model, and it will load it in our table view as well. So it's ready. So now what we can do is like we need to add these values in the table view. For that, now I have hard coded the value. It's like 10. Now we have the user model. So what I will do is like just return user. It is an array, so we can get the count. Just click on dot. You can get the count. So now whatever the response have the count, it will be the rows will be loaded according to the user count. Now what I will do is like in the text label, I will display the name from the API. For this, what I will do is like I just create a temporary variable. Let user equal to we have a user declared over here, right? So what I will do is like maybe you can name it differently. Cell user or current user equal to user. It is an array, right? So we need to increment from 0 to end index. So what we can do is like index path dot row. So it will start from, if there are 3 arrays, so it will start from 0, 1, 2. So it will display the name accordingly. Now what I will do is like I will use the current user. So it is related to the model object we created. So you just use current user dot name. We already have a name, right? So you can see like we only have name. If we have like ID, email, and we can provide like let name, ID, email, everything. But currently I will be focusing only on displaying the name. I'm coming back to the user list table view controller. So I am just displaying the current user dot name. Okay. Now everything is ready. So I will just run the application. Let's see. Yep, I will type some random text here, the password as well. So I click on login. You can see the response. So it called the API and it got the response. It processed correctly and assigned to the model object, and it displayed like only the user name. We can verify like first name is like Leon Graham and second is like Erwin Howell. So if I come back to the simulator, so you can see like Leon Graham, Erwin Howell. So it will be displayed in the table view. So the similar thing, what the Instagram and Facebook, the famous app, will be doing, like they will have the API, they will process the response, and they will display it like username and the post they made and the comments, everything. So this is the basic for building a super complex application and everything. Just click on back button, it will come back to the login screen. Yep. So this just the basic. So when we go move on to the next session, so it will be like how to format the structure and different design patterns, and we can concentrate on more things. But to start off from the basic, so this should be sufficient. Yep. That's it from my side. Yeah. Thank you.